I used to think I had it all. A good job, a cozy home in the suburbs, two beautiful kids, and a wife who, at least on the surface, seemed happy. We'd been married for over 12 years. To most people, we were the model family, the ones who hosted backyard barbecues and sent out holiday cards with matching sweaters. But looking back now, I should have seen the cracks. The late night yoga classes that went on longer than usual, the sudden phone calls she'd take outside whispering into the dark, the way she'd grown cold, distant, like I was just a roommate she barely tolerated. Still, nothing prepared me for what happened on that Tuesday morning. I remember it like a car crash, in slow motion. I woke up at 6:30, same as always. Coffee, shower, tie, kissed the kids goodbye. But something felt off. The house was too quiet. I called out to her, "Babe," but there was no answer. On the kitchen counter was a single envelope, my name written on the front in her handwriting. Inside, a printed email. "I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I've taken the kids to my sister's place for a while. I've also moved out. The joint account is empty, and I've taken the car. I filed for divorce. You'll hear from my lawyer soon." No explanation. No confrontation. Just gone. I stood there frozen, holding that letter, trying to make sense of it all. I checked my banking a poor joint account. 0. Savings? Drained. I ran to the garage. Her SUV was gone. So was the backup car. Even the kids' school bags were missing from the hallway. Everything was stripped, like a house that had been quietly robbed in the night. Except the thief was my wife. In the middle of that shock, something inside me snapped. Not out of rage, not yet, but something deeper. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. The next 48 hours were a blur. I didn't cry. Not yet. There was no time for that. My mind flipped into survival mode. I took the rest of the week off work, citing a family emergency. Then I started digging. If she could play this cold, I could play colder. First stop, the bank. The joint account emptied, as she said. Not a dime left. She'd withdrawn everything 2 days prior, in cash, across multiple transactions. Credit cards, maxed out. She'd used the joint credit to pay for hotel rooms, spa services, and get this $1,200 at a luxury lingerie store. Days before she left, every swipe of that card felt like another knife to the ribs. I called the kids' school. They confirmed she had withdrawn them with forged signatures from me. I was spiraling, but I wasn't broken. Not yet. Because somewhere deep in that fog of heartbreak, something began to surface. A memory. It was about our house. We bought it 10 years ago, right before our second child was born. At the time, her credit was bad, so everything, the mortgage, the deed, the insurance had gone in my name. My name. I pulled out the paperwork from the drawer I always kept locked in the home office. She probably thought I forgot about it, but I hadn't. Mortgage, sole owner me. That house she took the kids to, still legally mine. And then another detail hit me. The car she took, also registered under my name. She never updated it after we bought it. I still had legal ownership. All of a sudden, the tables were turning. I hired a lawyer the next morning, one of the best in the city. I wasn't playing the nice guy anymore. "She's already filed?" I asked him. He nodded. "She's accusing you of emotional neglect," he said, flipping through the papers, "and requesting full custody, alimony, and sole rights to the house and car." I laughed. Not out of amusement, but disbelief. She was trying to take everything. She thought she'd covered all her bases. She forgot one thing. I never transferred the title. She was living in my house, driving my car, and using my last name in court as if I disappeared. But I hadn't, and now I was awake, and I was angry. 3 weeks later, we had our first court appearance. I hadn't seen her since she left. No calls, no texts, just silence. The only contact I had with her was through our lawyers, and even that was filled with venom. When I walked into the courtroom, she was already seated. She looked calm, polished, even designer coat, manicured nails, like she was headed to brunch, not a legal battle. Her lawyer, some hotshot with a $2,000 suit and the confidence of a man who thought this would be a slam dunk. I'll admit, I felt nervous, but I had something better than nerves. I had receipts. Her lawyer went first, painted me as an emotionally distant father who neglected his responsibilities. claiming she was forced to protect the children's well-being by leaving. He accused me of controlling finances unfairly. When it was our turn, my lawyer stood calmly. "Your Honor," he began, "my client has been mischaracterized." Then he slid a thick stack of documents onto the judge's bench. "Here is evidence that the respondent, Mrs. Carter, emptied all joint bank accounts 2 days before leaving. Evidence that she forged withdrawal forms at the children's school. That she used the joint credit card for personal luxury expenses while planning to abandon the marriage." He let it breathe. Then he said the line that shifted the room. "And finally, the home she is currently residing in is solely owned by Mr. Carter." There was a pause. Even her lawyer blinked. "She lives there under the assumption it is community property. It is not. It was purchased under Mr. Carter's name only." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Can you prove this?" "Yes, Your Honor. Deed and mortgage documents are included in the binder." She looked at me for the first time, really looked, and I'll never forget that expression. It wasn't anger. It was fear. After court, she tried to approach me. I didn't stop walking. She called out, "We need to talk." I turned once, just enough for her to hear me. "You started this," I said. "Now you can finish it with your lawyer." She looked stunned, like the game she thought she was playing had turned on her, and it had. She forgot one thing. When you try to erase someone from your life, make sure they don't still hold the pen. After that first court hearing, things moved quickly. The judge issued a temporary order, and in that order, I was granted immediate access to my property, the house, the car, and most importantly, shared custody of my children. She didn't see that coming. When the notice was served, my ex blew up my phone. Dozens of texts, calls at 2 a.m., voice messages swinging between begging and threatening. "You're ruining everything. How could you do this to your family? You always said this house was ours." But the law didn't care what I said over dinner a decade ago. It cared about what I signed on paper, and the facts were in my favor. The day I pulled back into the driveway of the home I had built, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt haunted. Inside, the house smelled stale, cold. Toys were scattered across the living room, half-empty juice boxes on the counter. A wine glass still sitting by the sink, her lipstick stain faint but visible. She wasn't there when I arrived. She'd taken the kids and left hours earlier. And that was the worst part. The kids, they were too young to understand what was really going on. The first time I picked them up for shared custody, my daughter looked at me like a stranger. It broke me, but I didn't show it. We played, we laughed, and by sunset, she held my hand again. Meanwhile, the legal war raged on. We discovered she'd opened a secret account months before leaving and funneled thousands of dollars into it. She tried to move the title of the second vehicle forged paperwork again. She tried to paint me as the villain, but the facts didn't back it up. Her story collapsed, like a sandcastle in a storm. I didn't retaliate with spite. I didn't need to. I just stood there telling the truth, with a paper trail to back me up, and the truth was enough. It took 4 months for the final hearing. The judge didn't make a scene. She simply reviewed everything, and then she said, "This court awards Mr. Carter primary physical custody, joint legal custody, and sole ownership of the family, home, and vehicle. No spousal support will be granted. Further financial penalties for fraud will be reviewed." Just like that, it was over. She stood frozen, lips parted, stunned, and I just sat there, still, quietly breathing. Not out of revenge, but relief. Because for the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't fighting anymore. After court, I walked toward the parking lot. She was standing nearby. She didn't speak, but I did. "You took the money, the car, the kids. You even tried to take the story." I paused. "But you forgot one thing. The truth was still in my name." I turned away, got into my car, drove to my house, and opened the door to 2 kids running into my arms. They were the only thing that ever really mattered, and no one, not even her, could ever take that away. It's been a year since that final court date. The house feels warmer now. The laughter of my kids fills the rooms again. We still have dinner at the same kitchen table, still play board games on Fridays, but something's different now. I'm different, not harder, not colder, but clearer. See, I used to think betrayal was the worst thing a person could go through, but I was wrong. Betrayal doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It shows you what matters. Who you are when everything familiar is stripped away. Who you become when no one is clapping. I used to look at myself in the mirror and ask, why me? Now I look in that same mirror and say, thank you. Because if she hadn't taken everything I thought I needed, I would have never discovered everything I already had. Would I ever go back and erase it? Number. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it forced me to rebuild stronger, smarter, and this time with boundaries. And to anyone watching this who's going through something similar, let me say this. You are not what they left behind. You are what you choose to become after they leave. They may take the car. They may take the money. They may even take your name off the mailbox. But they can't take your character. They can't take your truth. And they sure as hell can't take your future. So hold on. Breathe deep. And remember, sometimes when someone walks out, they make space for the real you to walk in.